Alright, so a little while ago I polled people and asked them what their burning Splatoon lore questions were, and today I gathered up quite a few of them and I intend on answering them to the best of my ability, so alright, here we go. Number 1. Since there are squid rings in hero mode, and Krusty Sean sells fried shrimps, is cannibalism a common thing in Inkopolis? Kind of. Well, we know of other similar quote-unquote examples like this, because we know that Inklings eat less evolved octopi and they may eat less evolved squid. So, I guess you could kinda consider that cannibalism, but like, there are humans that eat apes, so would you consider that cannibalism too? I don't know, it gets a little morally gray on that one. So, these two cuttlefish quote-unquote idols from Octo Expansion, who are they and what do we know about them? We know literally nothing, that is it. We know basically nothing on them. I don't know if there's anything else from Haikyuu Walker that we don't know, because like, I don't translate anything yet, but I don't know here. But what I do know is that the existence of these two does not mean that Callie and Marie and Pearl are cuttlefish. They aren't cuttlefish. How do Inklings and Octolings change their hair colors? So we know they really don't change their hair colors outside of battles, because we can see that when you go in the lobby you have the last color that you had active, and that they change colors when they go into some like form of battling. So I would assume that maybe it's hormonal based, because if they go into a stressful situation where they're about to go into a fight, maybe their ink colors change then, and stuff like that. We haven't really gotten an official explanation besides Nintendo saying that when they go into the battle, their ink colors can change. Can Inklings and Octolings learn other languages? Yes, if you are unaware, Inklings and Octolings actually speak a different language. There's an Octarian language that in Octo Valley and Octo Canyon the Octolings speak. And in Inkopolis, Inklings speak a different language. But when all the Octolings go to Inkopolis, they have to learn the Inkling language. That's why some characters aren't very good with it, and if you use the amiibo for any of the Octolings, they speak in like a broken English that's supposed to represent them failing to speak Inkling. How do Inklings reproduce? We got no idea on that, and I don't think Nintendo's ever going to tell us. Where do Inklings and Octolings live? So, we don't really know where Splatsville is yet. I refuse to say they live in France until we have an official confirmation that Nintendo says it is France, but we know that Inkopolis is actually based out of Japan. So, yeah, and Octo Valley's pretty close by to that, so there you go. How does skin tone work? So, skin tone is kind of just something that Inklings and Octolings can change whenever they want, just like real squids and octopi can too. So, yeah, it's pretty basic. They can just do it whenever they want. It's just an ability that they have. Do Inklings have a class structure? Not that we're actually aware of, like, it's never been confirmed in-game, but we do know before Inkopolis Square became a popular place, there was a lot of small crime happening, which would assume that if Inklings and Octolings or whoever was stealing stuff, there would be some form of lower class, as there's a class not able to make enough money, you know, unless they're like just stealing things because they want to, but I'm going to go off a whim here and say that they're stealing things because they don't have as much money, which would imply that there is some form of a capitalistic class structure here. Is there anything known about the telephone that looks like Tartar in hero mode? No, I don't believe so. I think this might just be the developers kind of referencing what's gonna come next. Like, it's kind of similar to how in Zelda, A Link Between Worlds, you can see the Majora's Mask just kind of sitting there on the wall, and right after, the next game that came after that was Majora's Mask 3D, so I think it's kind of something similar to like that. Why is Agent 3 so powerful in Octo Expansion? I'm not sure if you meant to refer to Inner Agent 3 or Agent 3, so I'm just gonna do them both. Agent 3 in the time of Octo Expansion is around like 16 years old. Agent 3 at that time has had around 2 years of experience fighting the Octarians and getting better in turf wars, and just overall become a stronger soldier. So Agent 3 has a few years of experience under her belt. And as for Inner Agent 3, that's kind of because Agent 8 was kind of like imagining how powerful Agent 3 is, and that Agent 3 might not be as powerful as she was in Inner Agent 3, but still very powerful. Is Tartar alive? That is kind of a hard question to answer, because we've seen some signs that he's dead, and we've seen Captain Cuttlefish say that Tartar is dead and never coming back, but like, is anyone really dead in a Nintendo game? And we've also seen that when Nintendo did their whole Final Fest characters thing, Tartar was a character and was referenced like he was still alive, so there's really no way to know. How do Inklings and Octolings die? Well, we know they can't really take water that well, and we've seen that in Splatoon Octo Expansion, that when Agent 8, like, dies while going up the NILS statue, there are no respawn points there, and when Agent 8 dies, she actually dies, and it's just kind of considered non-canon. So you could say that water can actually kill Inklings, and so can shots from ink, because if you get splatted by a sanitized Octarian enough, you will just basically die. So yeah, I guess ink can actually kill Inklings and Octolings, so yeah, take with that what you will. The respawn pads kind of negate this, because Inklings are made out of ink, and because of that, they can like put their almost like souls, which those still need their own video on, into those ink canisters and just kind of come back like that. But yeah, they can die from what we see in game. It's just not really something that happens often because of how frequent respawn points are. Someone asked why there's such a big connection between Tony Kensa and Marie. That is because Tony Kensa and Marie are cousins. Are Inkdolings real? No. Are Salmonlings real? No. And if you were unaware, the chum salmonids and all the other salmonids we see in game, they are sentient on the same level that Inklings and Octolings are. They just have a very different society than the others have. So yeah, they are sentient. There's no real need for salmonlings to exist because salmonids already fill the purpose. Why did Octavio turn on Cuttlefish? From my understanding, before the Great Turf War, they were good friends. So the Inklings and Octolings turned on each other due to rising tides taking up so much room on the land. They didn't have enough space and they got a little antsy on it, so they decided to have a very brutal 2-year war and just kind of obliterated each other. So yeah, it was basically over shrinking land. Who is Tony Kensa? In short terms, Tony Kensa is a male Inkling who, after watching a turf war, got inspired to make their own clothing brand. And basically, he just tried to make a clothing brand that stood out against ink colors with the black and white colors. And yeah, that's it. He's a big clothing brand guy. Are hair colors only limited to turf wars, or how long do they stay after the turf war? So the hair colors, we can assume, stay there for quite a while, because if you go into a lobby, you can see lots of Inklings with lots of different hair colors from the battles that they just got out of. So that would mean that they stick around and don't change colors until the next battle that they get into. So which goes back to my little idea earlier that it's a hormone-based thing, that when they're in high-stress battle situations, their hairs can change color. Are adult Inklings real? Yeah, I mean, well, there wouldn't be kid Inklings if there weren't adult Inklings, so yeah, I guess. Also, Pearl is 21, and I don't remember how old Callie and Marie are, but I know they're both over 18. Can adult Inklings play Turf War? I would assume so, but they probably won't be matched with kids. Like, we know that some other, non-ink-based creatures can still participate in battles, but I just probably assume they're not in a league with children. Where does the ink come from to fill up the ink tank, and why does it refill faster while swimming? Well, we can see that Inklings definitely make their own ink over time, and they've got high-pressure ink sacs in their body which are producing that ink. And I would assume that the ink that you happen to get when you're swimming comes from the ink around you, and even though we can't see it absorbing into the ink tank, it's probably just a video game's logic type thing. Why do some albums have parental advisory warnings on them? Is there something to be accounted as swearing in the Splatoon universe? I mean, I would assume so. If their society evolved pretty similar to how ours did, it would probably have some parental advisory warning, which we can see. So yeah, there are swear words in Splatoon songs in Splatoon language, and we've all been listening to them for a while. So yeah, you're all corrupted now. Congratulations. What kind of Inkling jobs exist? What does an Inkling 9 to 5 look like? Well, considering Splatoon's society is pretty based around how ours is, I would assume it's pretty similar to what we see other sea creatures in game doing and what we do in real life. We know there's construction going on in Inkopolis, and we know there's tons of stores around, and just because we don't see any run by Inklings doesn't mean there are none run by Inklings. So I would assume that it could be pretty similar to what we see from other sea creatures and to what we do in real society. Also, I understand I've said society a lot in this video and that I'm going to be memed because of it. It's time to bring Society 2.0 into a channel meme. Let's go. Why does DJ Octavio not transform into his Octoling form? We really don't have an explanation for this, but if I had to give my personal guess, it's because Nintendo wants to show off his real form in a later game so they can reuse Octavio for a third time. But hopefully we don't actually get that. We don't really know why Octavio does that. Hobbies and entertainment outside ink sports and music. Well, we can definitely know that arcades are something that Inklings are very much interested in, just playing video games in general, with Squid Jump being a very popular thing, and the Shoal in Splatoon 2. We also know that shopping is another very big one. That's there too, with all the stores in there, like Booyah Base, and wow, does anyone even remember what the Splatoon 2 version is called? We know that museums are real in the Splatoon world too, so we could see an Inkling interest in museums, but I don't know, they don't really like things that don't get their attention immediately, so who really knows besides that? I want to know about in-game music industry. Which bands are considered the most influential in the Splatoon world? Well, there's no real way to know for sure right now, but as of the start of Splatoon 2, it was definitely Wet Floor because of how, like, sensationalized they were. Like, you could still see billboards for Wet Floor around Inkopolis Square, but I don't know what that is right now. In Splatoon 1, it was definitely Squid Squad, but kind of just look around the world for billboards for music you can see. Like, you can see Pearl and Marina billboards places, you can see Wet Floor billboards places. You just kind of look around the world and you can kind of figure out which bands are the most popular. Will genders exist in Splatoon 3? Kinda, like, there aren't, like, the words male and female specifically used, but, like, there is an option for male Inklings and female Inklings, as well as male Octolings and female Octolings. So they're kind of there, and you can use whatever hairstyle you want either, so, like, I guess they're kind of there, but not really? I don't know, man. And the last one for today is Inkling Politics, and that is something I've got to say deserves its own video, so I will get back to you on that one. But anyways, that is it from me for answering funny questions today. I will be putting up another poll in the relatively near future for more questions, or if I didn't get to your question, maybe I can get to it in the sequel. But this is a cool topic that I definitely think might turn into a sequel video, so if you want more of this, let me know. But wait, did you know that only 26% of people who watch this video are actually subscribed? I know. That is way too low. But for all of my unsubscribed viewers, I have an offer for you. Today, and today only, if you subscribe, you will receive your very own pork tenderloin. Yep, that's it. Alright, bye.